Hey, Bruno.
Hey,
How are you?
good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, welcome to my podcast, Studio HFL. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So, we met last year at Miami ITG, and we shared a flat. I don't know why I'm going to call it a flat. I'm not British. We shared a Airbnb with a
Airbnb. Yeah.
few other trumpet players that week, and I met you. And then the next thing I found out is, as we pass people, everybody knows Bruno. And I'm like, who the heck is this guy? you know, and I start to find out, I mean, you're famous, right? I mean, you're kind of doing a little bit of what I'm doing, but you've been doing it a longer time and hosting festivals. And we're going to talk about all of that and maybe some other things today. But I'm thrilled to have you here. You were busy last week, was it? Didn't you host another big online event?
Actually, we did that in the middle of March.
So what's keeping you busy these days?
Just practicing trumpets, watching Netflix, and also we are working on a mouthpiece online course because many people in Brazil they don't know about mouthpiece and they buy a lot of mouthpiece and most of the time they buy the wrong one.
Yeah, well, don't we all?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So it's basically like a 2 hours online course, online video, talking about all parts of the mouthpiece and the main the main mouthpiece companies and everything.
So what do you guys have at your disposal? The same thing, the Bach, Pickett, everything. I mean, you have everything that we have here in the States, right?
Yeah, we have Bach, we have Pickett Press, Warburton, GR, Schilke, Yamaha, Monet. Monet is a big thing in Brazil.
Yeah. Now, speaking of big, I mean, Brazil is big. It's a big country. Where are you at the moment?
It's the largest city in the country.
And I can't remember. It rivals New York City in size, right? Or maybe bigger than New York City.
No, it's bigger than New York.
So is this where you've lived for your whole life, or did you move there at a certain point?
Yeah, no, I'm born in São Paulo and I still living here.
Yeah. So are you teaching down there or just playing all the time, or a combination of both?
I have some students, some private students. Also, we have like an online trumpet platform. It's similar to a Netflix. And also we organize the festivals and everything else. And also I'm the dealer of GR, Warburton, and Pickett Press in Brazil.
So just you?
Just me.
Just you. Yeah. I know a city that big, it's got to have every kind of music. What are you involved in specifically musically there in Sao Paulo?
My background is like playing. I played in some youth orchestra when I was 19, 20, 21. And then I moved to the United States to study for 1 year. And then I came back to Brazil and I started doing like Broadway shows. I think Brazil has the third Broadway show market in the world. I think the first one is, of course, Broadway in New York. And the second one, not sure if it's in London or Germany. And then Brazil.
Wow. So a lot of work.
Now we have less work. When I came back from the United States in 2011, I think we had like 7 or 8 shows running at the same time.
Do you enjoy doing the Broadway work?
Yes, and that was like a life change, like a trumpet life change, because I was used to play like a large mouthpiece, a large horn, and I have to move to something more commercial. So it's like a lifelong looking for the right tool.
Right.
Yeah.
So you say you came to the States to study. Where did you go? Who'd you study with?
I went to study in Richmond, Kentucky, at Eastern Kentucky University with Joseph Van Fleet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just a couple hours away from me here in Indianapolis. So I've known Joe for a number of years. Uh, how in the world did you make that connection with somebody in Kentucky?
Yeah, that's interesting because in 2004 I was playing in a symphony orchestra in Brazil, and one of the conductors, he had some relationship with the president of the Campbellsville University in
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky. It's a
Mm-hmm.
small university, and then I was trying to get like a scholarship or something to study abroad, and then he gave me the contact, and so they put me in contact with Joey because Joey was the professor there at that
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
So it took some years, and then he moved to EKU,
Mm-hmm.
and then I went to EKU to study with him.
If I remember, was Joe part of a trumpet ensemble or a group of university professors that came down to Brazil to do some educational programming or? Uh,
Uh, Actually, we brought him and Mark DeGori
yeah, I know Mark very well. Yeah,
and also Jason Dovell.
yeah.
Actually, we brought Joey Van Fleet and Mark DeGori in 2017 for the first
Mm-hmm.
time
Mm-hmm.
for our event, the São Paulo Trumpet Academy. And they, in 2018, they were back. 2019, they were back with Jason Dovell.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they were here for like 3 years.
Okay, I knew Mark had mentioned something about going to Brazil.
Yeah,
So very cool, very cool.
yeah,
So
they love to come.
um, so the focus, when you bring people down like that, I mean, I know Joe and Mark have very orchestral and solo, uh, big solo backgrounds, and so does Jason. But of course, now Jason has all of the Baroque experience. Is that something you added to your festival? Natural trumpet.
Yeah, he gave some like 2 or 3 class about the Baroque trumpet because
Mm-hmm.
that's something that is starting to grow up here.
Mm-hmm.
We have a few people that are working with the Baroque trumpets. So, but the main focus of the São Paulo Trumpet Academy is to be like a summer trumpet camp.
Mm-hmm.
So the first idea was to bring American teachers and also Brazilian teachers to 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 give their knowledge about and also teaching
Mm-hmm.
during the festival. It's like a small it's a small trumpet camp. It's like 100 people.
Mm-hmm. Well,
It,
that's pretty good. I mean, 100 people is good. Is it a week long, a month long? How many
four
days?
days, 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah, yeah. And also we have the Jazz Trumpet Festival we started that in 2013,
Mm-hmm.
and that's big. Now that's the most important trumpet event in Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
We have around 300 people per year.
Wow.
So yeah, it's big.
Do you organize all this yourself?
Yeah, me and 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
So we are 4 people working on that.
So who decided, hey, we need to have this, let's do it? Who was this your
Uh,
idea from the beginning?
no, I wasn't involved in the beginning. In 2013, my friends, they have a big band, and the trumpet section said, oh, let's try to do something like a jazz festival here, because most of the trumpet festivals here are like classical. So let's do something about commercial playing and also jazz playing. And so they started the Jazz Trumpet Festival with Eric Miyashiro, and I worked with I worked with them as a staff. Mm-hmm. And in 2014, in the second year, I was involved in the organization. Mm-hmm. So, and also we had Alan Vizuri.
Wow. Yeah, you've had obviously some very big names.
Yeah, some guys like Arturo Sandoval, James Morrison, John Faris, and Greg Gisbert, Ruben Semeo, many guys.
Mm-hmm. Now, is Ruben from South America? Is he from?
No, he's from Spain.
Oh, from Spain. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the plans? I mean, were you hoping to have one this summer, or is this the one that you had back in March? You've already had yours for this year.
Our summer is in December and January. It's different. We are in the South Hemisphere.
See that, I don't think, I mean, I'm sitting here talking to you, but I'm forgetting that you're, however many thousands of miles away from me at the moment. So, okay. So, now let me ask you this. What about, the coronavirus? Has it affected Sao Paulo the same way it's affected here in the States?
Yes, we don't have we are not in the full lockdown, mm-hmm. But they start to close many things since middle of March, mm-hmm. and it's going to be until May 31, I think. Mm-hmm. So there is no work, there is nothing happening.
No. Yeah. It's pretty frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah. But in January, we did the São Paulo Trumpet Academy, mm-hmm. and we brought Scott Belk, mm-hmm. and Morris Northcutt.
I just talked to Morris last week. What a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I love his playing. He's so self-deprecating, very humble, and but he's done a great job of marketing himself. Obviously, he's a fantastic player.
Yes.
So how did that go? I mean, two very different personalities with Scott and Morris.
Sure. Yeah. That was great because both of them, they cover everything. Like Scott is a great jazz and lead player and also a great teacher. And Morris, he's a good teacher. And also he is a fantastic player, mm-hmm. like more classical. But he played some Harry James here with a big band.
Oh,
and
yeah?
That was good. Oh, yeah, that was great.
that I'd like to hear that, because he's so subdued in his playing. What's on tap? I mean, are you looking to have another festival at and I know everything's kind of in question with the coronavirus, but.
Yeah, probably we are going to have the jazz in October. The festival always happens in the third or fourth week of October. And we already have confirmed Rex Richardson, Andrea Tofanelli, and Ashlyn Parker.
Now, that last name is not a name that I know. Who is that?
Ashlyn Parker, he's a jazz player. He lives in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And he played, I think, with Ellis Marsalis, mm-hmm. the father. Mm-hmm. So he's a scary player.
Yeah, I got to check him out. Yeah. Yeah, Rex. Oh my gosh, the world traveler, right? I mean, he's everywhere. What a great guy. And another one of these that can play the solo repertoire and the jazz equally well. He's just and a great teacher too.
Yeah, actually, he came to the festival in 2017. He was here with Eric Miyashiro again, because that was the 5-year anniversary of the festival. So we brought Eric again. And we had Charlie Porter, mm-hmm. Dana Darby, Trey Austin, Mike Vex. It was like 6 or 7 internationals. Mm-hmm. A lot of work.
Yeah.
To manage everybody.
Yeah. Andrea... and the European All-Stars, they did that big Chase tribute. Did you go to that concert?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. that was unreal. It was great, just great playing. But Yeah. Can you imagine trying to blow through that book night after night?
No. No, I have an interesting story about that. I contacted Alberto Fanelli about the festival, and I told him, "Oh, you're supposed to play like 4 or 5 charts with the big band." And he said, "Oh no, I want to play 14 charts, minor charts." He said he's used to play like 12 to 14
Yeah.
charts.
Wow. So, and such a nice guy too, right?
Oh yeah, very sweet.
Yeah. And have you heard his story? I mean, he was so close to giving up on trumpet.
No.
Oh yeah. In fact, it's in. This is a good plug for my podcast. He tells the story in my interview with him, so you'll have to go check that out. But yeah, what a great guy. So, I understand now because I've contacted and interviewed a lot of really high profile players, and it's great. Everybody usually says yes, right?
Yes.
And as long as everything schedules and money works out. But the opportunity to meet and work with these amazing people is a lot of fun, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when everything is done. Yeah, and you go back to see the pictures and you see you were with like maybe Bob Shield and John Faddis and Adam Rappa in a barbecue house talking
Right.
about trumpet and trumpet history. And so that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
when you have these festivals, do you get to play as well, or are you kind of standing in the back, just making sure everything goes?
yeah, just sometimes I play, but most of the time I'm driving people to hotel and take them to restaurants and translating and classes, and it's like a organizer.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm curious now. Translating, you speak English, obviously. What's the national language? Portuguese.
Yeah.
Obrigado is the only word I know.
Yeah.
That's. I'm sorry to say that. That's all I know. You speak any other languages?
I can understand Spanish because Spanish is very close to Portuguese.
Sure.
So when Arturo came, he gave the masterclass in Spanish and everybody understood. So it's pretty similar. No, I just speak English, and Spanish I can understand a little bit.
What about Italian? What about when Andrea comes back? Can you think you can?
He's supposed to speak in English.
Okay. Good. So I'm curious, more about your background. Like, when did you start? Who'd you study with? What were you interested in? Who'd you listen to? All that sort of thing.
Okay. I started on trumpet when I was 10 years old. I played in a marching band in my school. So, but marching bands in Brazil are different than the American marching bands. We don't do that marching dance. We have many championships here. And so the band marches and stops and play like two-piece. It's like a concert band. So I played in marching bands maybe for 5 or 6 years. And then I started to play in symphony orchestras, youth symphony orchestras. And then I took my undergraduate diploma here in Brazil, and I played in some symphony bands too. So, and then I moved to the United States. I was supposed to have my master's degree there. I got the assistantship, but when I arrived there, the guy that had the assistantship, he had to extend that for a semester, one more semester. So I had to keep my visa, my student visa. I had to do some English lessons there, just to keep the visa working. And then my money was going away. And then my father got sick, and so I had to come back. So I never went back to the United States.
Mm-hmm. Are you interested in finishing that master's degree?
Yeah, but probably in Brazil now because the our money is real, and the real to dollar, it used to be like 2.7 $1, 2.7 reais,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's like $1, almost 6 reais.
Mm.
Especially
Yeah.
because of the coronavirus and
Mm-hmm.
the stock market is crazy now.
Mm-hmm. So who were you listening to growing up? Who'd you have access to?
Maurice André, Philip Smith, he
Mm.
was the big hit down
Mm-hmm.
here at that time. Bud Hurst, most of the
Yeah.
classical players. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting, you talk about the marching band, but then you have this youth orchestra or orchestra experience. I
Yeah.
mean, two very different
Yeah,
styles
no,
there.
yeah, but here the marching bands, most of the time we play like classical pieces,
Hmm.
like repertoire of the English marching bands, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's more like a concert band
Mm-hmm.
than a regular American marching band.
Mm-hmm. Are you playing in an orchestra currently?
No, not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore.
And I'm curious. There's been a trend for a very long time to play C trumpet on everything here in the States. I'm not a big fan of that. I think B flat is a good choice for a lot of things. But what about in Brazil?
It's the same.
Yeah.
We follow the American school here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at a certain time, at a certain point, I had a C trumpet, E flat trumpet, B flats, and piccolo trumpet, and everything else. But now I just have my B flat trumpet. I
Mm-hmm.
just sold my piccolo trumpet because I don't use that.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that it was in my closet for 1 year and no touching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So no reason
Yeah.
to keep that.
Yeah. So what do you enjoy? I mean, with no work going on, what are you practicing these days? What are you working on?
Basically, I like the Bill Alden routine. I like the Charlie Davis book
Mm-hmm.
about the Bill Alden stuff, and I'm trying to expand my range because it was something that I struggled for years to fix some problems, and I'm trying to work on that and also articulation. Most of the time, it's fundamentals. Try to fix some fundamentals. But in this time, I did some videos playing some big band stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I post that on Facebook just for fun,
Mm-hmm.
and also it was something like a video edition learning, and also audio, how to record yourself. It's something I think it's important,
Mm-hmm.
especially from now to the future.
I haven't put myself out on Facebook yet. I mean, it's you know, I appreciate everybody that does. I've got an adult student that records himself every day and puts them. Is it Bud, not Corona? That like there's a daily piece that somebody uploads.
Oh,
Yeah, so he does that. I just haven't come to that yet. I'm not that I'm afraid to, but it's just there's so much good stuff out there already. It's like, why do I need to do that? That's my excuse, anyways.
yeah,
So,
and Kenny Rampton of the Jazz at Lincoln Center, he tagged me on the West End Blues challenge.
mm,
So I recorded the challenge and posted that. And that was great. Everybody was doing that.
yeah. So I wonder how long that's going to go on. Are people going to get bored with doing this? You think, or I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy to see the videos come out, but it's you
Too
know,
much. Sometimes it's too much.
I wonder. Yeah, is it too much?
Yeah. Yeah. I think everything is so dynamic now. Everything is so fast. Like in the beginning of the lockdown, everybody was starting doing the live videos, live stream, and we did for a week long. And almost 3 months later, people are still doing that every day. So I don't know. I think sometimes something is interesting for a week or 2 weeks, and then people get tired of that.
Yeah. So, I think about Brazil, Sao Paulo. I mean, you think music. I do. I think about that, and I think about the rich music. I mean, it's part of the city, right? That's what keeps it alive.
Yeah.
It's got to be a really interesting vibe down there. So quiet, but I mean, but it's the history of this is so deep, right? I mean, do you think it'll come back to where it was once
I
this
think
is
so.
over?
I think so. Especially now, we can see more people going away, going out, trying to work, because people, they have to pay their bills and they have to work. And I think when the government say, oh, we are good to start everything again, in 2 or 3 weeks, everything will be back.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Recording studio, and the stuff that I do here in Indianapolis with, regional orchestras. Of course, university, we just finished. So, there's 3 months where that's not going to be there anyways. But there's nothing for the summer. So it's like, well, get the Arbenz book out. Time to learn some solos that I hadn't worked on in a while. And this, talking to trumpet players, but
and how is the summer work there?
Iffy. I mean, even without the coronavirus, it's always sporadic. Regional orchestras, maybe 1 or 2 concerts in the summer. The Indianapolis Symphony is the major thing that goes on here during the summer. They have a huge concert series that, and fortunately I get to sub with them a little bit, so that's nice. But usually the summer, it's not a whole lot of work. Yeah, for freelancers, like me, it's just
sure.
And I used to hustle weddings, but I haven't played a wedding in a while, and I'm okay with that. I just, you can only play trumpet voluntary so many times. Yeah, but so it's quiet, and I anticipate it's going to be quiet through the end of the summer. We're still hoping that our regional orchestras open back up, and we actually have a season that starts in August or September. So.
Okay. And how many weddings do you do per year?
I don't do any anymore. There was a stretch of 4 or 5 years where I think I played about 30 a year. It was a lot, but I was going to wedding bridal fairs and marketing myself that way, and it's okay money, but not the most rewarding.
Yeah, I'm asking it because weddings are a big thing in Brazil. Like 5, 6, or 7 years ago, I used to play like from September to December. That's the big season. I used to play like 20 weddings per month. Yeah.
I'm coming down to Brazil. I mean,
but here we play with the fanfare trumpets. We, in the beginning, like 15 years ago, it was more common to play like trumpet voluntary. But now we just play the wedding march, Mendelssohn, and then also maybe something like I'm trying to remember the word in English. Not like an announcement, a fanfare.
Sure, fanfares.
Yeah. And then we play during the wedding. Most of the time, it's like pop music and stuff like that.
Do you do any arranging?
No, no. I wish I knew how to do that.
Yeah. Well, there's an awful lot of talented people out there that already do
Yeah.
that. So I wouldn't subject anybody to my arrangements. They're not that great. Um, so I'm curious now, the connection with Stephen Campbell. How did you and Stephen meet?
Actually, Steve, he's a friend of Joe Benfleet, and I was looking for a place to stay in Miami,
Mm-hmm.
and Joey said, "Oh, let me talk to Campbell. I think he's going to ITG."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Oh, that is one more spot," and
Yeah,
I
good.
was there.
Yeah, yeah, that was a
That was
fun
great.
week. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was looking forward to this year too. I don't know if you were planning on coming up to Columbus, Ohio, but
Yeah.
um, boy, that's a huge loss for ITG itself. That,
I think
um,
so.
yeah, but it's nice that we can still do things like this. An awful lot of online content being out there now. I hope it doesn't.
Actually, I have to reschedule my flight, and because I was supposed to fly next week to Columbus.
Oh,
I was
oh
going
yeah.
there to stay maybe a week before or a couple of days before ITG.
Mm-hmm.
And now maybe I will reschedule that for late September or beginning of October.
Mm-hmm. So, um, just trying to think. What you say you're practicing a little bit. Anything else? Are you able to get out and travel at all during this?
Not traveling now.
No.
Now that there is nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is closed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my kids, they're one of them mentioned, "Hey, let's go to Washington D.C." But I'm thinking, there's nothing open. No museums open.
Oh yeah,
You know.
Washington D.C. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there twice, and
Yeah.
it's one of the best
Yeah.
places in the United States.
Yeah. So, well, any words of wisdom for future trumpet players, or?
Uh, Something that I would like to add is, beside of my trumpet playing and my trumpet stuff, and beside of the festivals, I started a trumpet blog in 2011,
Mm-hmm.
and I translated, I think, 250 articles from English to Portuguese, and that in a certain time of
Mm-hmm.
it was like a big thing here because nobody was doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and it was something important for people to get more information, and also because of the trumpet festival we bring like a lot of different people. Like in 2018 we had Arturo Sandoval, Randy Brecker, and Ruben Simeon, so three different players.
Mm-hmm.
And for them, and some people, they travel from other countries of South America to go to the festival. And also Brazil is too big. It's like in the US it's too big too. And some people travel from the Amazon forest, very close to the Amazon forest, and they take like maybe 6 hours bus and
Mm-hmm.
then 6 hours airplane to
Mm-hmm.
attend the festival.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see people seeing Arturo Sandoval or other guys live, and people start to
Mm-hmm.
cry because
Mm-hmm.
they probably they never imagined to see them in person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's amazing.
Well, these articles that you transcribed, were these um, interview notes, or like articles from ITG journals, or what was your source for these things you transcribed?
Everything that I find online, and I think it's interesting. Uh, Sometimes it's just a video. I
Mm-hmm.
just add subtitles. Sometimes it's like the history of the Bach mouthpiece,
Mm-hmm.
or uh, top 10 rules of Wynton Marsalis, something like that.
Mm-hmm. So now this brings me back to something you mentioned at the beginning about a mouthpiece course. What would that look like? I mean, is this bringing people in one-on-one to try to fit them to a particular mouthpiece, or a group of people where you, what's the format look like there?
We just recorded some videos, like explaining videos, talking about what's the backbore, what's the ring, and how to choose a mouthpiece, what you should look for when you are choosing a mouthpiece, or you play like a 3C and you want like a bright sound, what you should do, things like that.
And have you gotten any feedback on that? Has that already been?
No, we haven't released it yet.
Oh, okay.
I finished the edition and everything.
I'm curious to see how that works.
You know, I can send something.
Yeah, I'm not sure anything specifically like that exists here. Other than just general information. Here's a 3C. Here's a 5C.
So. When we start to understand the parts of the mouthpiece, it's amazing what you can do, especially with backbores. When you have already found your ring in your cup, the backbore is the big thing.
Yeah, at the ITG conferences, you've got everybody in the exhibit hall, right? Trumpets, cases, mouthpieces, and it's like, I guess I'm just thinking about mouthpieces. There is no perfect mouthpiece, right? For everybody. And even there's no perfect mouthpiece for you. Well, maybe on this piece, but when you're playing this piece, now you gotta change. But I was thinking about the exhibits, and being able to, where you can go and experience interchanging all those things, different cup, different rim, different backbore. That's a great place to go to actually figure that stuff out. Except if there's the guy at the next booth trying to play the double A on every trumpet. Right?
Yeah, like last year.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Bobby Schill, he always says that the mouthpiece is the thing that you can change your sound quickly. Like he said, when a guy like Wayne Bergeron goes to a recording session, he takes like 5-7 mouthpiece, because he never knows what he's going to play. Maybe it's like a big band chart, and the next record session is like a classical piece. And the mouthpiece is the right thing, right way to change your sound.
So now I'm curious, you said you were trying to expand your range.
Yeah.
You've probably got a mouthpiece that you use for commercial or lead playing. What kind of exercises? Are you using Scott Belk's, crazy lip slurs to work on that, or what are you working on for that?
Actually, I'm trying to do a mix of things. Adam Rappa conceptually, it's very nice about that. Also, Scott Belk, he teaches some exercise that helps to develop the compression. And also my friend here, my Brazilian friend, we share a practice room. So we always talk about that. And he did that years ago, and he developed his range. And we were talking about that, and something high ranges, try to figure out to keep your chops in a position, and also your tongue, to create that fast hair. So in most of the time, especially classical players, I can say that because I am used to do that a lot, still do that, to use a lot of air to play in the right range. And in right range is totally the opposite.
Yeah, Yeah, you know, and all these things you've been taught all these years, right, all of a sudden get turned upside down, you know, and replacing those old habits, it's not easy, you
No.
know. And then some people say you need a really small aperture, and then some people are like, you know, the aperture needs to be as wide open as possible. It's like,
Yeah,
you know,
actually, I had to change my embouchure because I was used to drop my chin when I went up. So
mm-hmm,
I would do like
mm-hmm,
something like that. So it's impossible to play high with that embouchure.
mm-hmm,
So I had to fix that, to keep that
mm-hmm,
in the place, in the right place to play in the high range.
mm-hmm.
So
So, you know, I don't think I've asked anybody this before. Like, you know, what kind of range do you have? Have you got a double C?
sometimes that is starting to speak a little bit. It's more like a squeeze or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you know the book Focal Point?
No.
Yeah, the author is Richard Weil. He does a lot of Doc Reinhardt stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a great book. And in one page, he says, "I squeak, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you start to do a squeak, one day that will become a note.
Oh, well, so the same, Bobby Shue says the same thing, you
Yeah.
know, today's squeak is tomorrow's note.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
And also Russian Ross, he says that in that Monet video when he
Yeah.
plays the triple C.
Yeah. It's like,
So
but who needs to have a triple C?
yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't mind, right? But
yeah,
yeah,
sure.
but how
But
often? Go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
but now I can play like a high F
Mm-hmm.
every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
something.
You know, and that's about F's and G's, right? I mean, that's really, you can make a good living, a really good living, knowing you can do that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, wow. I'm not, you know, I kind of pride the podcast on not talking about gear. Yeah, you know, but we've done that, talking about mouthpieces a little bit and high notes. But I mean, that is the, you know, the HFL, higher, faster, louder, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got the higher part of that today, anyways.
Cool.
So, well, I tell you what, I look forward to the next time we get to meet. But yeah, thanks for the time today. I appreciate you coming on and
Yeah,
sharing a little bit.
thank you for the invitation.
It was good to see you.
Yeah, thank you so much, man.
All right. So, all right. Take care.
Take care. Stay
All right.
safe.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.